All right, what is up, folks? For this video, I'm going to talk more about immigrants. Ooh, immigrants, they're so bad, right? We don't want diversity, and we're so sick and tired of this melting pot. It's been a hot topic lately. In fact, I've been looking forward to going on vacation abroad, possibly going to countries like France in order to observe their culture. So, what are those things that the French people wear on their head? What is it called? Ah, hijab. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing lots of French people wearing hijab in Paris. And yeah, I'm looking forward to traveling to the UK, going to London. What's their national food? Something and something. Oh yeah, shawarma and falafel. And right after that, I think I will probably be going to Stockholm, capital of Sweden, because I want to understand more of Swedish culture. So I think I'll probably visit like a local mosque or something. Yeah, that's the state of Western countries. What the hell has happened? I think at this point it's pretty obvious now. The immigration system is broken. It's 100% out of control. And I don't care what you guys say. You guys say, oh, China, it's so bad. The Chinese Communist Party. Oh, look at what you're doing to the Muslims. I think so many people in this world are so hypocritical. And for example, right, so all these white men were complaining, oh, so all these immigrants, they're taking all of our jobs and they're sleeping with all of our women. Well, that is the greatest lie ever sold. So me as an Asian guy, I've been living in Canada for the majority of my life. There are millions and millions of interracial couples in the forms of a white man and Asian woman. Yeah, if you're so worried about, the white population decreasing, your country is being invaded, we don't want this Asian, Indian, or African invasion. Why are so many white men, why are they traveling to Asia and Latin America? They're becoming foreign sexpats. They're becoming a passport bros. It's the same thing. Oh, you guys say, oh, look at all the Muslims. Oh, look at what the Chinese Communist Party is doing to them. Well, I don't even know where you guys get the figures. They're saying that there's 1 million Muslims locked up in China. If you travel to the Chinese city of Xi'an, which was featured in one of my recent videos, I posted a 30-minute video about Qin Shi Huang in the city of Xi'an. You will see a lot of Muslims in that city. The vast majority of them, they live a very normal everyday life. They get to own their own small business, and in the city you will find many mosques, and yeah, they're living just fine. So you've been watching way too much negative propaganda. And also, so if you're saying that, oh, there's so much discrimination against the Muslims from China or any Asian country, so I have a question, right? So it's pretty clear at this point. So the Trump and J.D. Vance administration, they cannot end the Russia and Ukraine war, well, at this point. And also they cannot end the conflict in the Middle East. So yeah, there are 2 million Palestinians. So, if you love the Muslims so much, America, why don't you just take in all 2 million Muslims? So you're saying that, oh, Israel, it's so bad, oh, Zionism, oh, Ben Shapiro is so bad, Daily Wire is so bad. Yeah, so yeah, those 2 million Muslims are suffering. So yeah, why not take them in? All of that aside, for this video, I want to focus on immigration, right? The system is 100% broken. I came to Canada as an immigrant, as so do many members of my family, right? They traveled to Canada as an immigrant. It's very important that, every single member of my family came legally, and there's a massive difference. It's actually a very, very long process. So I believe for my dad and stepmom, for them to actually get their Canadian citizenship, it's like a 10-year process. So yeah, they applied for immigration way back in the mid 1990s. Maybe it was 95 or 96. They didn't first arrive in Canada until 2002 because yeah, if you actually follow the normal route, you'll be actually shocked at like how many forms you have to fill out. It's ridiculous. It's like a dictionary, and you have to go to the hospital. They have to basically get your blood type. You got to get your fingerprints down. They got to check your eyesight, all kinds of crazy stuff. I went through the exact same process, and obviously even a lot of immigrants in Canada who came to Canada many years ago, who came here legally, right? And they're seeing what's happening to the completely broken system. Obviously, a lot of people are pissed off because a lot of people are coming here illegally. For example, they're using fake tourist visas, or they're coming as an international student, even though the program they enrolled in at the local college or university doesn't even exist. They just come to Burger King or Dairy Queen, they work for a year, and they get their permanent residence. Or sometimes they can even come to Canada as a temporary foreign worker, and they just work for a year and they get their permanent residence. So, for the immigrants back in the day who struggled, for them who took 8, 10, or even 12 years just to finally be able to come to Canada, it's a huge slap in the face. Between 1991 to 2015, so Canada was taking in roughly 250,000 immigrants in per year legally. So 1991, this is 25 years. Then what happened in 2015? November 4th of 2015, Justin Trudeau took office. Then starting in 2016 until 2025, Canada's immigration numbers completely exploded. In fact, Canada's population increased by 8 million people. 8 million people. By the way, Canada's birth rate is extremely low, so there's no natural growth. All of this came in the forms of immigration, both legal and illegal. So in just 9 years since the Liberal Party of Canada took power, so an increase of 8 million. Imagine this, if you're living in the United States, that is the equivalent of the United States gaining 70 million people. Yes, imagine that, if the United States actually took in 70 million people in 9 years. That's what has happened. So, by the way, if you can look up the 2025 immigration numbers. In the first 3 months of 2025, Canada took in this much, 800,000 immigrants. So Canada this year in 2025 is on pace to take in 3.2 million immigrants. That's the equivalent of the United States taking in 27 million people in 1 year. Yeah, you wonder why. Have you ever been to the Greater Toronto area? Have you noticed that the traffic is a complete gridlock now 24/7? It's a traffic jam all the time. I mean, you know, your 40-hour work week, now it's a 60-hour work week due to the complete gridlock in traffic. And you wonder why people can't find a job. And you wonder why, you know, the housing crisis is so bad. You wonder why nobody can afford to buy a home. And what happens when people can't afford to buy a home? They have to rent. Then the rent for the houses and the apartments will skyrocket. So let me just give you guys a very easy example. So I live in Ottawa. So this is the Ottawa's the National Capital Region, NCR. So if you look at Canada's census in 2001, Ottawa had 600,000 people. The National Capital Region, if you include the Quebec side, right? So these two cities, they combined for the National Capital Region. This is Gatineau, Quebec. Now, according to the 2021 census, so the city of Ottawa has 1 million people. And the other side of the river on the Quebec side has 500,000 roughly. So yeah, these two cities that make up the National Capital Region, it went from 900,000 people to 1.5 million people in 20 years. That is a 67% increase in population. Yeah, you wonder why the traffic is so bad all the time. You wonder why the rent has gone up so much. You wonder why nobody can find a job anymore. You wonder why so many youths are completely broke. You wonder why so many guys are 30, 32, 35-year-olds and they're still living with their parents. There's got to be a limit on everything. You can't just open the floodgate and just take in millions of people every single year. Look at the UK now. By the way, the UK is actually smaller than New Zealand. Yeah, I'm just saying UK is a very, very small country now. Used to be one of the most powerful empires on earth. What's called the empire that the sun never sets on is because they occupy territories in all 24 time zones. But nowadays, the UK is turning into a third world country. So UK is smaller than New Zealand, right? So New Zealand has 5 million people. The UK has 70 million people now. In fact, for Britain, if you look at for the vast majority of the 20th century, from the year of 1900 all the way until the year of 1996, the UK averaged anywhere between 30,000 to 40,000 immigrants per year. 30 to 40,000. So that was until 1996. Then what happened in 1997? I think we all know what happened. Tony Blair. I mean, that is one of the most evil, one of the most vile human beings out there. So 1997, Tony Blair becomes Prime Minister of the UK, opens up the floodgate. And if you look at the UK's immigration numbers, 2022 and also 2023, UK took in 2.5 million people. So this is the immigrants who came legally, also including the asylum seekers who came to the UK illegally. So that's why UK has 70 million people now. 2.5 million people in 2 years. And it is not slowing down. And if you say anything, you're the racist, right? And so I think in the UK, they're actually arresting people for speaking up about this kind of stuff. That's what I mean. UK is turning into a third world country. It doesn't matter what you want to say about the Chinese Communist Party. China will never, ever allow anything like this because China actually cares about their citizens. 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, China will still be a homogenous country. And because they want to preserve their culture, because they want to preserve their language, because they want to preserve their history. Want to know why everything has gotten so expensive, everything is so unaffordable? Well, first, you have to blame the Chinese. Something happened. So 1997, what happened? HK, the Frequent Harbor, Hong Kong was handed back to the Chinese. So Hong Kong is officially back to China after a 99 years lease ended. So yeah, city of Hong Kong was actually leased temporarily to the British for 99 years. And in 1997, that lease simply wasn't renewed and was returned to China. So yeah, it's a little bit of a crazy history there. So that's part of China's century of humiliation. A lot of people from Hong Kong during this era, I would say in the early 1980s until 1997, they were freaking out because they thought, oh my God, the Chinese Communist Party, they're coming for us and we have to leave. And what was their top destination for these Chinese immigrants when they were looking to leave Hong Kong? They found the city of Vancouver. Yes, Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada. And if you're wondering why so many Chinese people chose the city of Vancouver, well, I'm going to say this is going to trigger a lot of people. Once again, trigger warning, because the city of Vancouver, just the entire region, there are almost no black people. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but you're looking at maybe 1 or 2% of the population. Yeah, I'm just telling you guys. Also, the Canadian winter is very, very harsh. I mean, who the hell is going to want to move to cities like Edmonton, or even worse, a town like Fort McMurray or Winnipeg? I mean, these Chinese people, they don't want to be freezing their ass off. And Vancouver has the warmest climate in Canada out of all the major cities. And so what happened was during this time period, early 1980s until 1997, all of the Chinese people from Hong Kong, all of them with money anyways, I would say probably, the top 10% income earners, they all sold their homes and they just took over the city of Vancouver. If you actually travel to the city of Vancouver right now, you will notice it's the Asians are the majority. Probably 60 to 70% of the population are immigrants. And the biggest ethnic group is Chinese. There are more Chinese people than white people in Vancouver. If you don't believe me, just book a vacation, go to the city, and you will see. But you guys will also notice that Vancouver is the most unaffordable city in the world. I mean, the cheapest house you can find in that city is probably $1.5 million. I don't know what's the average price. I don't even need to look it up. It's probably something ridiculous like $2 million. This is what happens when you have a massive uncontrolled immigration. So a lot of these Chinese people, they're not part of the 250,000 immigrants that came illegally. So a lot of these Chinese people, they simply got something like a tourist visa. And when they hop off the plane at Vancouver, where actually the airport is in Richmond, BC. That's why Richmond has so many Chinese people. They simply board one of those Chinese tour buses. And then they go to all of these neighborhoods in Vancouver where brand new houses are being built. And they just see that, oh, by the way, keep in mind, this is back in the 1980s. And they just see that, there's this house is 50,000, this house is 40,000, this house is 60,000. Good, we'll take all these homes cash. And this is a part of the reason why housing has gotten so expensive, because hundreds and thousands of Chinese immigrants moved into the city in a span of just 10, 15, 20 years, and they bought up all the land, they bought up all the property. And what happened? Imagine, if you're a middle-class white couple, if you're just trying to make it, you see your dream home. You see this house is on sale. Let's say this is 1987. It's $40,000. And you think that this could be your dream home. And then you ask the realtor, he said that actually we're going to go to the bank. We're going to try to get a mortgage. And we want to buy our dream home. Then boom, next thing you know, some rich Chinese guy comes in. He sees that, oh, this house is $40,000. You know what? I'll pay you $42,000 cash right now. This house is mine. Yeah, and just like that, that white couple's dream home is gone. That's how hundreds of thousands of white people, they were driven out of the city. And as a direct result, in just 5, 10, maybe 15 years, Vancouver went from being one of the most affordable cities in the world to the most unaffordable city in the world, because it's not just the housing market. This is why, me as an immigrant, I'm against immigration as well. Even if these people are model citizens, even these people are educated, even if they don't commit crimes. But this is what happens when you let in, 300,000 millionaires into one city. It destabilizes the economy. Now, if you go to Vancouver, it could be anywhere. Let's say, for example, if you go to a bar, let's say in Ottawa or Montreal or Toronto, let's say it costs you, I don't know, $15. By the way, I don't drink, so I don't know how much the entry fees are usually or nightclub, right? Let's say it's $15 in any other Canadian city. If you go to Vancouver, it's $30. It's the same thing. You want a Big Mac combo? Let's say in Toronto it's $15. You go to Vancouver, it's $30. Pretty much everything is double. So yeah, if someone's living in Vancouver, right? So and they say they're making 100,000, you might be thinking, oh my God, that's so much money. Well, that is a lot of money if you're living in a tiny town in like Saskatchewan or something. In Vancouver, $100,000, that's the minimum wage. That's literally the equivalent of working at McDonald's. So this is what I mean. Immigration is a massive issue. And yeah, go to Vancouver. Look at the amount of homeless people there. Almost every single homeless people, almost every single drug addict in the city of Vancouver is a white person. Because they're left 100% hopeless. Because, if you're just the average white dude that's making $50,000, $55,000, $60,000 a year, then all of a sudden 300,000 rich Chinese people just comes to your city. They buy up all the properties. They raise the prices. And how are you supposed to survive? That's why if you go to a lot of other smaller cities in the province of British Columbia, for example, if you go to places like Maple Ridge, you will see a lot of really, really poor white people that's struggling. Now, by the way, I'm not trying to put white people on the pedestal, but what I'm saying is that, I'm really, really struggling as just a normal Chinese guy as well, right? Imagine if that was my life, right? Like say when I was 22 or 23, I was really, really, feeling optimistic. I can finally afford my dream home in Vancouver back in the 1980s, and when houses were like $40,000 or $50,000. Now, all of a sudden, hundreds and thousands of Chinese people come in and they buy up all the homes. The next thing you know, my dream home now costs me $500,000. Next thing you know, my dream home costs me $1 million. Then yeah, I'm 100% screwed. So yeah, that's a massive problem. That's why, in the province of BC, for the longest time, the Chinese was getting so much hate. That was back then. Since then, the number of Chinese people that's moving to Canada has decreased. But I'm sure you guys know what has happened right, since Justin Trudeau took power. Even though he's no longer the prime minister, but he's damaged the country far beyond repair. Have you guys noticed something? So yeah, the vast majority of the newcomers that's coming to Canada, they're all coming from one country. They're all coming from India. So yeah, Indians. They're the new Chinese now. Just walk into any Walmart in Canada, walk into a Loblaw store, go to any 7-Eleven, go to any gas station, go to a McDonald's, Tim Hortons, Wendy's, Dairy Queen, Harvey's, B&W, KFC. Look at the number of Indian workers there. Yeah, when I first arrived in Canada, right, these stores, yes, I even worked at McDonald's for just under 1 year. Yeah, exactly 1 year. That was my first job. Terrible job. Totally glad I left. I'm never going to be coming back to work at McDonald's. The store I worked at, I would say, was probably 85 to 90% white. So it was me and there was one other Asian guy. There was 2 Asian guys. There was 2 Indians. Yeah, I think there was also 1 black guy. But the rest of the store was all white people. So that was, when did I work there? 2007, 2006 to 2007. I mean, that's not even that long ago. That's less than 20 years ago. Now, when I go back to visit that McDonald's I used to work at, it's 90% Indian now. And there's not too much diversity in that. And it's the exact same thing. Yeah, go to any Tim Hortons in Canada. Yeah, I would say probably 20 years ago, the demographic breakdown of all the Tim Hortons workers in Canada was probably like 80 to 85% white. Now it's 80 to 85% Indian. Or depending on where you live, sometimes it could be 100% Indian. The majority of these jobs, they used to belong to young Canadian people. We're talking about seniors at high school, possibly college students, university students, young people who just wanted a weekend, a part-time job in order to save up some money so they can pay tuition, and so that maybe 5 years from now they can save up enough money for a down payment for a house, so maybe they can finally afford to rent an apartment so they don't have to live with their parents anymore. But now all of these jobs are taken. What are the local Canadian people supposed to do? If you look at the youth unemployment rate in Canada, so this is for people who are under 30, I believe in the Greater Toronto area, it's above 20%. Yeah, above 20%. This is what happens when you literally take in 800,000 people in 3 months. Yeah, like where are these people going to live? Where are they going to find jobs? And you wonder why unemployment rate is so high. And it's very, very obvious. A lot of these businesses like Walmart, like Tim Hortons, like McDonald's, they clearly have quotas for hiring Indian people first, because that's the only explanation. How can a franchise, for example, like Tim Hortons, go from literally 80% white people 20 years ago to 80% Indian people in 20 years, right? So there must be a mandatory quota in place for them to only hire Indian people, because your government doesn't care about you. That is why I'm working as hard as I can, and as soon as I pay off my debt, I'll be getting out of here. Canada is 100% over. Once again, I want to make something clear. I'm not against immigration. I'm not saying Canada should just shut the door completely. I'm saying that, yes, countries can benefit. But once again, if you look at the immigration levels, from 1991 to 2015, that was kept at 250,000 people a year. And now in 2025, 800,000 people in 3 months. Yeah, the system is completely broken. It's just like what happened to the city of Vancouver from the 1980s until 1997. Once again, immigration is okay. If you're a Chinese guy, right? If you don't want to live in China and if you want to come to Western countries, sure. But there has to be a limit. For example, you need to cap the number of Chinese people that's coming into the city to, let's say, 5,000 people per year, so the property market that doesn't get completely destroyed, so that the inflation doesn't just completely skyrocket out of control. And now, the Indians, they're the new Chinese people. But this time, instead of just the city of Vancouver, it's all over Canada now. And yeah, some of you guys are, leaving comments underneath some of my videos. They're asking me how come, I have a university degree, I have a college diploma, how come I'm working at a grocery store? Because, yeah, finding a job in Canada has becoming a massive challenge for everybody. And it's the same thing for a lot of the new arrivals, for the people who are fresh off the boat from India. Just look at any time if there's a job fair, if it's at Wendy's or Tim Hortons or LCBO or Dollarama or Loblaws, look at the number of Indian people that's standing in line. Yeah, massive uncontrolled level of immigration has completely destroyed Canada, and there will be no turning back. So once again, you guys can talk about China all you want. China will never ever allow anything like this to happen to their country. So that's going to be my number one suggestion for you. If you can afford to, it's time to pack up your bags. If you have a car, just sell your car, whatever belongings you have, just to have some kind of a yard sale or post it on Kijiji, just to sell everything and leave the country. Because if you import the third world, you become the third world. Just look at the UK. Canada is following the exact same steps as the United Kingdom. Canada will soon be a third world country.